That's done. Now we can talk about the fun stuff. The fun stuff is investing. Said like nobody ever. Hey, one thing that's important about money that I want to hit is, anytime you talk about money, it's always a sensitive issue, especially sometimes when you talk to Christians or you talk to anybody, really, it's always sensitive. And the Bible even talks about money. Matter of fact, the Bible talks more about money than it talks about heaven or anything else. And one thing that, the Bible does not say that money is the root of all evil. Follow me? The Bible doesn't say that. What's it say? The love of money is the root of all evil. So money is not good. It's not bad. Money's indifferent. Money is no different. Money is just a tool for exchange. Does that make sense? Money's not good. Money's not bad. It's not evil. It's not righteous. It's nothing. Money is just a tool for exchange. So now that we kind of have that in our minds, money, believe it or not, is a lot like water. Money's like water. It has a current. It flows. It moves. It changes. Sometimes it's a rough current. Sometimes it's a smooth current. Sometimes it doesn't move that much. But it's always doing something. Sometimes it can slip right through your hands, just like water. But if you use it and use it the right way, water can be very, very, very powerful. And money's the same way. You can use it for lots of good things, or you can use it for lots of bad things because it's totally indifferent. Now, one thing that's important to know is that you don't have to love something to take advantage of it. You don't have to love something to really wrap your head around it to utilize it. For instance, who here loves to get in their car, turn up the radio, put the windows down, and just drive? Anybody? The whole back row. Yeah. And that guy and this lady. What's that? Yeah. And my wife's the same way, man. And everybody young is like, yeah, heck yeah. They just love that. I know Sabrina's the same way. She'll put the windows down, crank up the radio, and she'll just go, man. She loves it. Who here doesn't really like to drive all that much? Me? You? Yeah. I don't really like driving. I don't think it's all that much fun. I'll be very candid with you. But I really like the benefits of it. Does that make sense? I don't love driving, but I really like being able to get in my car, and I like being able to drive to work in the wintertime and get there in about 3 minutes and being warm while I'm doing it. I like listening to the news. And in the summertime, I like being able to turn on the air conditioner and listen to the news and be working 3 minutes. If I walk to work, it'd take me about a half hour to 45 minutes. Now, I also like being able to drive back home. If I want to get back home to my kids real quick, I could do that. I don't love driving, but I did spend, when I was 16 years old, my mom and dad paid for a class to teach me how to do it. Since then, I've developed that skill a little bit better. My wife might not totally agree with that one, but I've developed the skill over the last several years of driving that I've become better at it. And I've picked up intuition. You know how you just know when somebody's going to pull out in front of you? It's like driving for 20 years. You get it. You know it. Typically, a 16-year-old kid doesn't have that. They just don't have that experience. But after all these years of driving, I don't necessarily love it, but I certainly like what it brings. I like to go watch the Cavs up in Cleveland. I think that's awesome, man. I can hop in my car, hour and a half, shoot up there, watch Cavs game, turn around, come home. If I didn't drive, it would take me about 3 days to walk up there. I'd never make it back in time, and I'd have to take a week's vacation to watch Cavs game. Does this make sense to you? I don't have to love it to learn it and to utilize it. Investing's the same way. You don't have to love it. I swear you don't. And it doesn't have to be that difficult or that complicated. Remember when you first started driving, everything seemed difficult? It's like, ooh, turn signal, ooh, turn, ooh, 10, 12, 10, or 10, 6, no 12s. Then you start playing with the radio, get a little more comfortable, mom and dad's yelling at you. My dad took my radio out of my truck. Not the radio, but the speakers. Tried that one. But guess what I didn't do? I didn't play with my radio. But now I can do all this kind of stuff, and I can text and drive. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Watch me get in an accident tonight. You kidding me? We'll have to edit that out. So I don't have to love something to utilize it. But investing is the exact same way. I don't have to love investing to like the benefits of it and use the benefits of it. Now the benefits are going to be later in life. And investing is no different than a number of different things. The earlier you start, the better off you are. Investing is all about time. Now what we're going to talk about tonight, I'm not going to go too deep in a lot of things. I'll be very candid with you. I'm not going to dive into a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things I'm not going to hit. All I really want to do tonight is I want to open the door, and I want you guys to look out the door, and I want you to see how bright the sun is. I want you to see how green the grass is. I want you to see how pretty the flowers are, and I want you to see how great the sky looks. I want you to see it and be able to just kind of get an idea what it looks like. That makes sense? That's all we're going to do. I'm going to show you how easy it is to open the door and look at some things. So we're going to teach you how to do that. And really how cool it is, and all you have to do is open this door, and how easy it is to invest and be able to take advantage of some things. So that's really all tonight is. We're not going to go too deep on a bunch of things and make your head spin, and I'm not going to try to sound smarter than I am, because I'm not. We're just going to, nice and easy. Now, how you win with investing is you win with time. We're not going to talk about get-rich-quick things. We're not going to talk about, flipping houses. We're going to talk about a lot of this stuff. We're not going to talk about playing day trading. We're going to talk about how you win with time. You win with time. A very good friend of mine, and I asked him if I could use him as an example, and he says, yeah. I could tell he was kind of embarrassed about it. I didn't know if he was for sure going to come. It was Mark Young. Mark Young is a personal trainer. And the same thing with physical fitness and financial fitness. They're very, very similar. Physical fitness, financial fitness. And what's so similar about it is the earlier you start, the better off you are. Make sense? The earlier I start, the better off I am. Now, if I ask Mark when the best time is to start training or start getting in shape, he's going to tell me 10 years ago. Guess when the second best time is? Yeah, today. Now, same thing with investing. If I want to start investing and if I want to really set myself up for the future, guess when the very, very, very best time would be to invest? 10 years ago. Guess when the second best time is? Right now. So that's kind of what we're gonna hit. Now, Mark is a very unique individual in the fact that he's in better in shape than most 20-year-olds I know, and he works with I don't want to embarrass you too much, but he does work with Division I athletes. He works with high school athletes that are solid athletes. He works with me. He works with my wife, and he works with 65-year-old ladies. Our workouts are very different. He strokes my ego a little bit, and he tells me I can work out with these Division I athletes. I know he's lying to me. Keep telling me it, though. But I know it's not the case. And I know my workout's also different than a 65-year-old lady. It's not bad. But he will work with all these people differently. Does this make sense? Now, if somebody's 65 or 70 years old and they come to see Mark and they say, hey, I think I want to start getting in shape. I think I need to see you. How foolish of it would it be to him to say it's too late for you? We know somebody who eats, breathes, and lives this and really believes it from the bottom of his heart would never say that to somebody, right? He would say, yeah, man, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it now. Somebody who's 60, he'd say the same thing to you. Let's do it now. But if somebody who's 20 and they want to do it, guess what he's going to say? Let's do it now. And he's going to be super excited. Man, he's going to be like, yeah, let's do it. Let's set you up for life. Well, let's make sure you don't have a lot of these physical problems and headaches that come with this. And I'll teach you stuff that's crazy and amazing. So that being said, the younger you are, the better off you are. But it doesn't mean that you can't invest later in life. You're silly not to. You're silly not to. And we're not allowed to say, stupid, at home. Because we... So we're substituting that with silly. Okay, so we're silly not to do some of these things. But the earlier we start, the better off we are. And there's several ways to invest. And we're going to hit a couple of them. There's 401ks, there's 403bs, there's several different types of IRAs, self-directed IRAs, conventional IRAs, there's mutual funds, there's all kinds of different things. There's real estate, there's all kinds of neat things you can do to invest your money. Now one thing that's kind of neat about a lot of these things is the government has given us tax advantages, and really no matter what way you invest, you want to make sure you maximize the tax advantage. It's not cheating the government, it's not doing anything bad, it's not lying on your taxes. But the federal government said, okay, here's a list of rules, and if you do these things, you can save money, you can invest even more. The idea is someday that when we retire, everybody's retirement's a little bit different. Everybody's got a different idea of where they want to be. My idea is different than yours. My dad's idea is different than different people. His idea of retirement is he wanted to not work at a mill anymore, and he wanted to wake up, have coffee with my mom, and go work on rental property until 3 or 4 o'clock. If he doesn't want to work that day, he doesn't want to. But to a lot of people, if they think, well, I got to go swing a hammer and work on rental property, that'd be awful. To him, it's heaven. He's retired. He loves it. He loves it. I'm sure he goes to Dunkin' Donuts even though he's not allowed. Gets his cup of coffee, talks for a little bit, works on rental property, gets a lot of things done. But for him, for a lot of people think, man, I just don't want to do that. Well, for him, it's heaven. He loves it. So I do think that if any point in time we totally quit, we sit on the couch, we're done, we mentally check out, I think you're toast. But I do think that retirement's different for a lot of folks. Like my friend Mark, I truly believe that until he's 100 years old, he'll be doing some kind of physical training and he'll be teaching people. And I think that that's good. That's fantastic. Now, another thing that's the idea is to supplement is Social Security. I'm going to touch a little bit on it now. I'm not going to get too long-winded on it. There's some people here that are just kind of starting to dip into that, and some people that have thought about Social Security and is it going to be there for me, is it not going to be there for me? I'll be very candid with you. There's more than likely it won't be. Based on the age of folks that are in here, there's a very good chance that when it comes time to use that Social Security, it will not be available for you. I'm not being a naysayer, I'm not being negative, I'm just kind of a little bit more reality here. And what Social Security is, if somebody's getting Social Security now, and if you know somebody who's getting Social Security, don't think they're getting a government handout, because they're not. Don't think they're a bum because they're getting this, because they're not. Don't think they're taking advantage of something that they shouldn't be, because they're not. A number of years ago, the federal government says we don't think you're all that smart. So what we're going to do is we don't think you're smart enough to look at your own future. So we're going to take your money as you earn it. We're going to take a portion of it. We're going to invest it for you. And when you retire, because we don't think you're that smart, when you retire, we're going to take all this money we've earned for you because we're much smarter than you, and we're going to give it back to you and divvy it up to you. So you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. Now, it turns out our government's not as smart as they thought they could be, and we spent it all. Sorry. All that money we took from you, you're not really going to have. So, and again, this isn't a political speech, it just kind of is what it is. So what's happened in the last number of years is the government said, we would really like you to invest on your own. Social Security is great, it's probably going to be there for you, don't you worry about it, you'll be fine. But we think it's best you also invest on your own. Does anybody see the writing on the wall here? Does this make sense? Just know, if it was going to be that good, they wouldn't tell you they think you should invest on your own. Do you know what that means to you? It's probably not going to be there. Hey, panic. You know, but they're not going to say, hey, go ahead and panic. They're just going to say, hey, we're going to give you these tools to go ahead and invest on your own. We think you should probably do it. If you don't, we don't think that that's that good of an idea. We really think you should invest. And not only do we think you should invest, but we're going to encourage you through tax benefits to push you to invest your own money. And then you'll have that for retirement, because Social Security may not be as good as we think it will be. So the federal government thinks you should do it because they don't think they're going to be able to have that for you. What's that mean to you? It means you really need to do it. One thing that I really like is I really like a Roth IRA. How a Roth IRA works is you do pay taxes when you get your paycheck. You get your paycheck, you pay taxes, and then you invest money into a Roth IRA. A Roth IRA grows, it gets interest, and when it comes time to take that money out, you don't pay any taxes. That's amazing. So it truly is amazing that you won't pay any taxes on your interest you've accrued, but you have paid taxes on that money before you put it in. We'll kind of go into a little bit of what a big deal that is. It's huge in a minute, but we're not going to dive too much into it, but I do want you to see the benefits of it. Another thing is a lot of companies have a 401k or a 403b. And typically it comes with a company match. How a company match works is they say, if you earn so much money, you put some of your money into it and we'll match it. So typically it's anywhere from 2% to 7%. 7% is a little bit high, but nevertheless there's companies out there that will do 7%. And how the match works is if you only want to put 2% in, guess how much they're going to put in? 2%. If you put in 3%, guess how much they're going to put in? 3%. If you put in 7% and there's a 7% match, guess how much you're going to put in? 7%. Now if we put 10% and there's a 7% match, guess how much you're going to put in? 7. Make sense? So they'll match it up to that dollar figure, but you can put as much as you want to in there as long as your dollar figure with their dollar figure doesn't go over $18,500. Typically it's pretty easy not to pass that up. But if you do, that's fantastic. You're probably at the next level. So if John, I'm throwing all kinds of names at you. Now we got John. But if we have somebody that makes $30,000 a year, and his company has a 7% match on his $30,000, if he puts 7% in, he's putting $2,100 in. Now, if I divide that out by our 12 months, it's $175 a month. $2,100 seems like a pretty big dollar figure, does it not? You know, when you hear $2,100, like, wow, I don't know if I have $2,100. When you think about $175 a month, guys, it really doesn't seem all that big, not when cable is $125. Does it make sense? Now, I really like cable. I get it. You might like retirement too. Think about that. Now, if I'm putting in 21% and the company's matching me my 7%, that means I put in $2,100, $175 a month. Guess what the company put in? The same thing. So I haven't put any money into this super risky stock market everybody's talking about, and I've already doubled my money, strictly based on the company. So if I'm 21 and 21, now have $4,200 in here. So I'm making right now 100% of my money, and I have no risk involved. All I've done is I've said, yeah, I'm going to take advantage of your match, and they hit it. Make sense? So at that point, you decide of where you invest in later. So let's say we do this. Let's say we go ahead and do this. We decide we want to do this. We make $30,000 a year. We're doing our 7% match. Or if it's more money and it's a lower match, that's okay. But we're just going to go based on really this dollar figure. Now keep in mind, we've only put $2,100 in here. There's a lot of authors and a lot of people out there that talk about getting 10, 11, 12, 13% on your money. I think that's great. It's fantastic. If you can do it, that's great. But I do think that when you start preaching about getting folks 11, 12% return, I do think that you might be setting some folks up for failure with the retirement. Does that make sense? I'm okay to be surprised to get more money than I thought I had coming. Surprise me. That's okay. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to be thinking I'm getting 11, 12, 13% and only get 8, because then I'm really disappointed. You know, things aren't working out so well. So we're going to use a number of 7% for our return. Now, if we put $2,100 and the company puts $2,100, that means we've got $4,200 a year going in here. And we're 20 years old, and we're going to do this till we're 60. Or if we're 25, we're going to do it till we're 65. We're going to do this over a 40-year period of time. Remember, we win by time. If you have less time, that's okay. You're still going to win, but the more time you have, the more you're going to win. So if we do this for 40 years at 7%, that means we'll have put in a total of $168,000. That's between us and our company. That means out of my pocket, it cost us $84,000 over a 40-year period of time. That's how much it cost us out of our check. $84,000 seems like a lot of money, doesn't it? It kind of does. You know, $84,000 is a lot of money. But if you put this money under a rock, if you put $84,000 in the bank, or if you just saved it and saved it and saved it, and you're going to retire on $84,000, does that sound very exciting? No, it really doesn't. But if we do this over 7% over that 40-year period of time, does anybody want to guess roughly how much money we have? We picked up over $700,000 in interest. That's 7%. We'll have almost $900,000. Keep in mind, do you know how much it cost us? We have $900,000. That's crazy. Now, if this number jumps to 8%, we go up to $1.2 million. That's a lot. And all we're doing is we're putting money here and letting it go over time. We haven't even maxed out our 401k. We haven't even maxed out our IRA. We have not maxed out any of those things. All I want to do, guys, is I want to show you, if you put a little bit of money aside, you do it over a long period of time, you will make a lot of money just based on interest. So I just kind of want to preach that. I want to hit that home. And the difference between an IRA, a conventional IRA, a Roth IRA, and a 401k is as you start to take this money out, your $1.2 million or your $1 million, that's a lot of zeros, you will pay taxes on that money as you pull it out. It's income. Make sense? If we touch money, we get taxed on it. If we touch it, we own it, we get taxed on it. As we pull this money out, we get taxed on it. Earlier we talked about a Roth IRA being so neat and how cool it is. A Roth IRA is really about the only thing. As you pull this money out, you will not be taxed on it. You'll pull out the whole $1 million and you don't pay a penny of tax because you were taxed on the initial money you put in. Make sense? I know we're kind of touching on some boring stuff. I told you we wouldn't hit boring stuff, and that's about the bulk of my boring, I promise. So you want to go really with as much tax advantage as you possibly can. Another thing that's a great investment is mutual funds. Those are really good, and the idea of that is there's a multitude of different investments in there, so it kind of takes away some of the scariness. But on all these things, you win over time. Another good one's real estate. One thing that I found is when I was a kid, there was a gentleman by the name of Rick Cunin that was really good friends with my mom and my dad. And Rick was into real estate, and I see a couple people kind of smiling, they know him. Rick has really cool stories. And that's how he teaches, by telling stories. And he tried to get my dad into real estate for really quite some time. And hearing this guy's stories and hearing his stories and hearing his stories, it just seems so simple. I'm like, anybody could do this. This is a chip shot. This is cool. This is something that an everyday person can do. So it sounded really, really neat. I thought, man, that is cool. So I really want to get into that. And he's the guy that got me into real estate. I thought that was super cool. But as I talked to people that were in the professional world, I talked to a lot of people that were in real estate. And the people in real estate said this is the only way to invest. This is it. They understood it. Here's how you invest. Any other way, you'll lose money. You know, if you go in the stock market, you go in your 401k, you go in an IRA, you go into mutual funds, you will lose money. Here's your only sure thing. And they were pointing to all these people how they aren't that good because they don't invest in real estate. However, one thing that I found was I talked to these guys. Yes, these guys said, all you want to do is invest in paper. If not, you'll be getting a phone call at 2 a.m., you have a commode, you have evictions, you have people knocking on your door, you have all kinds of headaches, you'll be rehabbing houses, it's all bad, you got to pay people. This is all, you want nothing to do with that stuff. Don't have anything to do with it, you'll just lose money, you'll pull your hair out and you'll just get mad. And you want to do paper, you want to do paper, you want to do paper. And so you guys have it all wrong, you're knuckleheads, but these guys are making money at it. They understand it. You follow me? They understand it, they get it, they're making money at it. These guys, they understand it, they get it, they're making money at it. I'd very, very, very much encourage you, if there's something you don't understand, don't invest in it. Make sense? If it sounds super complicated and super neat and super bedazzled, stay away. If it sounds too tough, don't do it. If it sounds like it's kind of interesting, you might like to invest in it, then I would very much suggest you do some homework, do some research, check it out. If it can be explained in a pretty short period of time, it seems kind of simple, then it may not be a bad way to go. You'd have to make the decision of whether to do that. But if it takes a PhD to understand it, and it sounds neat, and you're thinking, well, I just must be kind of stupid because I don't get it, you're probably not stupid. You're probably just something you may want to steer clear from because it just may not be for you. It doesn't mean it's necessarily bad, it just may not be for you. Personal for me, if I can't understand it pretty quick, man, I just don't want involved. I really don't. I'm okay to read about it. I'm okay to learn about it. And at that time, if I want to make a decision to do it, make a decision to do it. So I've come across a few people in life that have done really, really well over here. They get it. They understand it. They get it. They're okay getting their hands a little dirty. Well, those same people put the time and the homework and research over here too. Well, they get it. They understand it. They're making money on it. So those people have kind of capitalized on both things. I'm not saying you should do that, but pick something and be able to invest in it. One good thing about real estate is sometimes you can make a bigger return on your investment really just because you've put some of your own sweat equity into it. So you can sometimes get this number a little bit higher based on your return, but there's risks that come with it too, especially if you're not doing the work and if you're not familiar with real estate, you're not familiar with how to fix stuff. Yeah, so it may not be for you. Does that make sense? But either way, the more time you have, the more you're going to win. The more time you have, the more you're going to win. And you definitely want to get involved. If your work has a match plan, do it. If your work doesn't have a match plan, I love the Roth IRA. If you're not a fan, you want more tax breaks up front when you're making your money, IRAs are good. You have all kinds of ways to go. One warning I want to give you with all these things, no matter what you do, if you touch that money, you do get taxed on it at any point in time. All these things are super, super neat. If you touch that money at any point in time, you're going to get taxed on it. You lose that tax deduction. Does that make sense? Now, there's times in life where you may have to do that, and that's okay. You just want to be able to make a decision to do it. That's okay. It's no big deal. But if you're thinking that you want to use it later, maybe touch it for a little bit and then put it back, just know you can't. So when you touch it, you're being taxed on it. So I just want to let you know that in case you ever do end up moving this money, you change jobs, you want to do what's called a rollover. So you don't want that check made to you. If it is made to you, you don't want to cash it. You want to get a hold of a professional and say, hey, how do I move this without actually touching it? So that's really important. The last thing that I want to hit is the stock market. Because of the people that are in here, I don't know if there's anybody in here that really didn't get a whole lot affected by 2008, 9, and 10. You know, there's a few younger folks in the back that maybe it didn't affect them a whole lot, but for the most part, we were affected by the stock market crash of 2008. Would you guys agree? I mean, you saw it firsthand, you saw what happened, it was very scary. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know what was going to happen with real estate. We didn't know what was going to happen in the stock market. So it's really easy for people our age, even people a little bit older than me, to say, I saw people that lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions, in the stock market crash. You know, so I don't want anything to do with that, Tim. I think some of the things you're teaching, I think that's neat in theory, but the fact that my Uncle Jim, my aunt, this lady at work, all these people lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, I think this is the riskiest thing you could ever possibly do. I get it. No, I totally understand where you're coming from. I totally appreciate that. But I got to tell you the truth. I have to tell you the truth. The truth is, the stock market's been around for over 100 years. There was 2 major crashes in the stock market. You know when the first one was? 1929. The second one we already said was 2008. The end of 2008 and 2009-10. Matter of fact, none of us here remember stock market crash in 1929. Obviously, grandparents may, parents may, but we don't. We weren't there for that, and that was the worst one ever. It affected a lot. You know, the whole country stopped. But the last one was 2008, and for us, that really shook us up. You know, we did see a lot of people lose money. But you know, Wall Street calls. They'll break things down by 10-year intervals. You know, 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, so on and so forth. The period of the 2000s, they call the lost century. The lost century. So who wants to guess during that time period, that 10 years, what percentage we lost in the stock market? Cheater. Anybody want to guess? How much did we lose through that 10-year period of time?
In the overall stock market?
Nope, yeah, and the Dow Jones, through that 10-year period of time in the 2000s, how much did we lose? I didn't have it right either. I looked this up and...
15%.
Okay, we got 15%. He's a little off. Anybody want another guess?
3%.
I got 5%, we're getting closer. 3%'s even closer. That's closer, but still not there. Yes, we had growth.
Yeah, so we had about
1% growth. That's the worst stock market crash we've ever experienced in a 10-year period of time. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? Now, here's what happened. I'm going to break this up in a nutshell, and I'm not going to go into all 2008 what happened. You know, there's a lot of crookedness going on, really, in the stock market and real estate and subprime lending. It's a pretty long story, but nevertheless, through that 10-year period of time, the stock market was pretty high before that. In 2000, in the 1980s, we were up over 17%. The 1990s, we were up almost, we were up over 18%. So money was just, it was going up, it was going up, it was going up, it was going up. So as it's just screaming up high, people would look in their 401k and they would see they would have $500,000, they would have $700,000, $800,000. Some people had over $1 million in their 401k, and it just keeps going up and up, and they keep dumping money in there. So it just keeps rising. Life's good, you know. So in 2008, late 2008, the stock market collapsed. It went way, way, way down. It dropped way down. These people watched that they had $1 million. Now they only have $500,000. People that had $500,000 only have $250,000. People that had $200,000 in there now have $75,000. Guess what these people do? They panic. Guess what they do with their money? They all took it out because they didn't want to lose anymore. They thought, oh my goodness, I'm not going to lose any more than I've already lost. I'm going to cut my losses, pull it out, get me the heck out of here. That's everyday normal people, man. Blue-collar people, white-collar people, normal people that have normal jobs, that put all their money in here, their life savings. This is how they're going to retire. They're watching it drop. They get scared. They panic. They get very, very nervous. Their wives are freaking out. Husbands are freaking out. Everybody's freaking out. Everybody's panicking. They're pulling it out. It's like, hey, stop the bleeding. You see how easy that'd be? Stop the bleeding. Pull it out. And people that were professional in the stock market and people that really watch a lot of things, guess what they did at that time? They bought like a champ. They bought like a champ. Who here likes to shop? If I go to Kohl's, Kohl's is awesome. My wife tells me all about Kohl's, man. Double coupon days, triple coupons, add coupons, put it on a credit card coupon. That drives me nuts. Credit card coupons, like pay the extra 10%. So If I go to Kohl's and I've got a shirt, it's amazing how they have MSRPs on a shirt. Are you kidding me? So I've got an MSRP on a shirt for $50. If that shirt costs $50, is it a good deal? No. That's when most normal people are buying the stocks, because it's up. It's good. It's a great investment. Well, when that shirt drops to $20, is that a good deal? Yeah, you're professional shoppers. You get it, buy it. I don't care if I only wear it twice. $10 a wear, I'm up. You know, a lot better than $25 a wear. So $10 a wear. These professional guys that are in the stock market, they're reading the market, they know it's going to go back up. Now keep in mind, if it stays down, if it continues to go down and goes down and goes down and goes down, we've got a bigger problem than your retirement. You know, you've got like end of day stuff, you know, eventually we know it's going to end bad. But you follow me? So these guys are buying this up like a champ. Guess what happened within a 10-year period of time? It went back up. It did go back up. So I'm not saying it can never go down. It will go down. Markets have to adjust. They have to go up. They have to go down. If they don't, believe it or not, it's bad. It's bad if things just continue to go up, because then we have false inflation. It's all bad. Things have to adjust. And I do think the market's going to adjust again. I had somebody ask me recently, I think now's a terrible time to invest in the stock market because I think it's going to go down. They're young. I said, you need to start investing now, and when the stock market goes down, don't panic. You need to double up. Buy as much as you possibly can, but start now. That way you have something. And you don't lose anything until you pull it out. You really don't. So, you know, I kind of cheated a little bit about how much we lost in 2008. We finally got to the point where we only went up 1%. If inflation's 4%, we kind of went down 3%, but technically we still only went up 1%. In 1929, when America stopped because the crash of the stock market, and we see all these photos, we can look online, and you know there's famous paintings about it. Do you guys know how much through that period of time, in the 1930s, how much the stock market crashed? Anybody want to take a guess percentage-wise? It actually did go down. Anybody want to guess? About 0.5%. But a lot of people panicked, and guess what they did? They took the money out, and that's when they lost. Some people bought more, bought deeper, kept going. Guess what happened with them in the next 10, 15 years? Yeah, they're rich. Now, what I don't want to do is I don't want to make light of folks that pulled the money out. I really don't. I honestly, truly feel bad for, very, very, very bad for folks, and I know people that have done that. It hurts. It makes my stomach hurt. So I don't want to make light of it. But one thing, the next plug I want to put with this, and this will be the end of it, and then if you guys want to ask questions, you can. If we take over the 100 years of a stock market, we're going to call this 100 years. It's a little bit more, but we'll call it that. We cannot take a 15-year bar. If this was 15 years, in regards to bar or graph, we could not put this bar anywhere, even looking back in history, we could not put this bar anywhere on the Dow Jones and lose money. Can't do it. Nowhere. There's nowhere you can put it and lose money. Does that make sense? So initially we started talking about this, and how do we win? Time. You win with time. You win with time. So if we're doing this for, you know, five years, yeah, it does become considerably riskier. 10 years, a little less risk, a little bit, still some risk there. But if we do it for 15 or greater years, man, so far in over 100 years we've done it, it's never lost. I'm not saying it can't happen. I think someday it could. Someday it probably will. But if we take our 15-year bar and know, hey, I'm in this for at least 15 years, I'm good. If I'm in this for 20 years, I'm even better. 30 years, fantastic. And if you're to the point where you can be in this for 40 years, especially for some of the younger folks in here, man, you're just, you know, you're talking to the point about putting in less than $100,000 or $150,000 and being well over a millionaire. But you just win by time. So really, all I wanted to talk about tonight was encouraging you to do something. Because if you don't do anything, guess what you're going to have when it comes time? Just that. So I very much encourage you. If you say, Tim, I really can't throw a lot of money at this, that's okay. That's okay. Small beginnings, man. Small beginnings. Just a little bit. Throw something at it. And that'll help you kind of get there. So, and there's not too many people that will talk about this kind of stuff and not try to pitch you something. I'm not trying to pitch you anything. I'm just telling you, hey, this is what you need to do for you. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not a special program. We don't have a special meeting afterwards. I'm trying to hand out cards. Nothing silly. I do have this oil, though. Just joking. Just joking. So really, that's it. We're officially over. It's 8 o'clock. We ended up going for, actually speaking for about an hour and a half, I suppose. So if you leave now, I'm not offended. But if you want to hang out and ask a couple questions, feel free. Any questions with investing? You guys are making this easy. Okay, perfect. Hey, God bless you. Oh, yes, sir.
Do you recommend mutual funds instead of savings, or like open mutual funds?
I very much like mutual funds.
Like right now, the savings accounts are getting under 1%. So it's like,
They're silly. It's pointless. Inflation's 4%, you go backwards. I don't carry a lot of money in savings. I just don't like it. I think it's doesn't make sense. I do like the idea, you know, somebody mentioned earlier, Dave Ramsey. He says, hey, you should have a little bit of a safety fund. You should have a safety net here in case something were to happen. I do think that's a great idea. You know, you do want to keep some money in case your car needs tires, in case your furnace quits working, in case something happens. I think it's good you can grab some money real quick. I like that. But I would not keep a large stockpile of money in savings for fun, me personally. But if you do, that's okay. Not bad, but I would recommend doing something with it that actually makes you money.
What would you do to keep the money, you know, liquid? I mean, if you want to get into better interest.
The more liquid it becomes, the less you're going to make on it. When I enter an investment, for me personally, I want to have the idea that I'm marrying it.
I mean, I'm just talking, see, the church, for example. We put money in a savings account like we're saving up for our parking lot. You know, I mean, you got tens of thousands of dollars to get 95 cents.
Yeah.
But you want to have that money available when you need it, you know?
I suppose it depends on your timeline. If it's going to be a number of years till you do it, then it might make sense. But you think you're going to do it in a relatively short period of time, it's not going to make enough with your fees to cover it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But if you said if you have $100,000 or $200,000 net savings, you say, hey, the church is doing pretty good. We're going to pay cash from stuff. We have this extra money. We don't need anything with it. In that case, I think it would make a lot of sense to invest it, like in a mutual fund. And the idea of a mutual fund is typically they are less risky. You can pick how much risk you want in that mutual fund. But the idea of mutual funds is usually there are a multitude of different things, and you can pick how risky you want that to be. So if one of those stocks doesn't do very well, typically the other ones will do enough for it to still have a gradual incline. Anything else? Hey, guys, thanks so much for coming out. I really appreciate it. And thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Really appreciate it. And God bless you. Have a wonderful evening.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Hey, thanks. Thanks.